Anna is a consummate natural born salesman, which is the heart of all entrepreneurial activity. Has done already some great work with some boats in his environment, and I think is one of the brightest and most promising young entrepreneurs that I've encountered. I've asked him to talk to you, and I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Anna Kluppenberg.
Thank you, Jack. Well, here we are back at EVCON 2013. It's my 4th time to Cape, my 3rd time at this show. The very first time we were here, I was about as eager and jumpy as I am now, so that's not going to change. But by the 2nd time, I made it up to stage, and 3rd time, thanks for the introduction, Jack's having me back, and I hope to be here for many future editions. Maybe even take the Mississippi exit off of the Gulf and first house on the left after the Pretty Bridge. EVCON 2018, I've got some other plans in between that I'm going to talk about now. First, though, did everybody enjoy Play Day yesterday? Well, I thought it sucked. You know why? Not a single EV speedboat in sight. And nothing I built myself. There's nothing worse than building stuff that's cool, that people like, and spending all day looking at other people's stuff that people like and not being able to show off your own. It really sucks. So I'm going to do some of that now and get you all started. I have put together a little recap video of our first claim to fame, our Glastron boat. I got a little nostalgic putting it together because the boat has recently been sold, as the expensive componentry are now in this boat. The Glastron was an $800 boat with $20,000 worth of parts and too much labor that I care to count. This is an over $100,000 boat that you can indeed hide the parts in and not really find them anymore. But we'll go and start up. Should come up. Here's the volume. This shit is
sick.
Sick. Right, you gotta tell the folks at home. Yeah. Raymond on his first run in his cool new boat. Okay, give it like that. See you guys. There you go. New electric is assembled. Kevin Zucker, Raymond Derrikow on the Kloppenborg. For the first time, we're all together in the boat we built. And we're going to do a first little run all together in our new boat with the new settings. You guys ready? And this is 3 people in the boat, 130 amps, still gotta get the GPS involved. Just like in a Tesla and any other electric motor, it's that instant acceleration.
Hardly any sound comes from the motor.
Cruising like gentlemen. That noise, no, wasn't that? Couldn't have been us. We've got an electric motor. Everybody knows those things are slow. That's some serious electric power. Oh man, EV grins.
Sick.
That's what we're all about.
Oh, this torque is amazing.
Is it?
Yes.
Cool. So let's do that again. Just one more time. You holding on, Rick?
Yes.
So, all water skiing and boating around aside, electric boat really shines as an evening cruise. Me and the missus taking a little cruise down the new Aber. Slight of the electric motor, but mostly just sound of the water. Let's see if this is a speedboat. We now have tunes, so let's see if they work. Brothers in Arms. Why not? That should give us some pretty sweet tunes. This is live audio from a crashed camera in a boat that normally you can't even hear yourself think, right? Where the camera fell down. I was feeling pretty much like a rock star right here, I can tell you that. Let's bring us down to 0. 0 amp load. Voltage recovering back up towards its, let's call it 300 nominal. And we used about 17 amp hours worth in that little jet around. And without having to turn the motor off, actually I'll let the blower go for a moment. This is not a bad spot, guys. Very scientific testing of temperature there. Some tunes here. Didn't burn my hand, that's good. A little Noto, Joanne, why not? Get my dashboard app back up. I was going to do some GPS runs and see how fast that really is. Got our GPS for speed. So this time we'll check out what our speeds are. Okay, down a little bit, Nora. And here we go, guys. Hard holding the camera, the dashboard, steering with my knees, trying to get 600-700 amps through the battery. This is 46 against the current, doing 250 off the battery. 50 kilometers, I'm sorry to say. We're going to do something about that. It'll go faster. Basically, fast in a boat. So I wanted to go water skiing. The only body I knew that knows how to drive a water ski boat is my mom, who taught me how to water ski when I was about 5 years old. Step right up.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, they're great. I control the temperature, my RPMs, and the amps I'm putting into the motor. Kind of see that. I've got the battery box temperatures right here. When the fan's on, we'll do that for the power run. give her the 60-minute second explanation, and you're good to go. Okay, this is called procrastination. I'm not sure I'm gonna go.
Yeah?
I've done it since I was 14. Wasn't sure what's gonna happen. Done it, Mom. Come on, pull me up. If he'll keep moving later, doesn't like this. That's better, Mom.
Ah, he's falling. Yeah. He's letting go.
Kind of fun, huh?
Yeah.
I built a water ski boat, and it works. That's amazing. So that was the glass home, guys. Yeah, it was an amazing ride, and like I said, it's nostalgia seeing it again because it's a heartbreak, but we had to sell the parts and keep the business moving. Projects to the future, not the past, and at least we got video, so that was cool. And like I said, we moved all the parts from the Glastron, found our launching customer, and converted the Nedcraft. Let me get it up here. Now the Nedcraft is a pretty special story. It's a 1920s original paper design by Nelson Zimmer, Southern Florida, for a runabout, later turning into larger versions and becoming a hackercraft, and many other runabouts that were based on it. This is a slightly smaller version than the very large ones. It's about an 8-meter aluminum. It was built with a 130 horsepower Volvo diesel engine in it, and built by a guy in 2006 that wanted to start a whole company around building and selling these Nedcrafts. The recession hit, and the guy kind of found out he was more of a builder than a seller, and the boat kind of languished in reducing sales price, but still nobody was buying it. And we found the boat. Actually, I should say for something, the Glastron, the Nedcraft, the 818, the Delta we're doing, any other future project, because it just works this way. Raymond finds all the cool stuff. I have no taste of my own. Raymond finds something, points it out. I don't even ask questions, and we try and make it happen. So he found this boat, and I pitched it to our customer. So finally, we get the boat at the shop, and we need to take out the diesel, 130 horsepower Volvo Penta. I was hoping that if it's a Volvo Penta system and it's 130 horsepower, and I had in my Glastron a Volvo Penta system that was 130 horsepower, gas, but still, that the coupling that I had made, custom made in America actually, that it would just slide right over the marine transmission that this was hooked up to, that I was still going to use, because I wasn't going to reverse my DC motor. It's better to be lucky than to be good. It fit like a glove. Here's the monster coming out. I don't have a forklift yet, but my neighbors across the way, you might have seen in the videos, they have a beer distribution business, which kind of distracts me from work now and again, but they do have a forklift that they let me use when I need it. This is we're in a clean industry, but doesn't every conversion start with a dirty job? And we're taking the diesel out that smelled up the shop for about a week. So here you see the coupler to the marine transmission, and we're spacing out the fact that our original adapter plate hooked up to the bell housing, so the coupler stuck into it. Eric Chris has told us of the benefits of finding out this stuff before you do things, especially if you sold it to the customer and you have like a time frame and stuff. But you know, up and comers, you got to kind of fake it till you make it. So we had something to do there. There's the Delta that we'll talk about a little later. We went to a friendly local machine shop, and we had an extra collar made, and we're there ready to fit it with our new. We were almost as happy with the what we call a portal lift as with the fact that the motor was back in the shop. So it was a big smile day. So here's our unit. It is a cost of 11, 250 volt DC motor. It's the very first I got, and it was doing fine, so why change anything? It has a lovely chocolate patina that I spent about 200 hours putting on there before it saw any power. And it's hooked up to a marine drive that for pleasure craft use is rated up to 300 horsepower and could do the torque and that kind of stuff I wanted. Plus, it already came with the boat, so all the hooks, levers, and down prop systems from there could be left unchanged as long as I didn't exceed the RPM and torque ratings on that. Here's it in all its parts. Trying to hook it back up together. You might have seen the last time we started out with a motor and a nice horizontal plate for the soliton. And at the end of the season, I took it out like this. I think Charlie Rickman with his Opel GT is having the same issues right now. You can clamp only so much, but you really need to hook up the frame to either the bolt holes on the rear, bolt holes on the front, preferably both, and or create your own if they're not there, what we had to do with this Kostov, which is why the back is taped up, because we were actually drilling into the motor and making new mounts. We were always going to give the customer the new CA series cells. We're going to talk a little bit about selling cells and selling stuff. Of course, we want to showcase what we're going to have, but I only had about 60 of them at the time, and you know, stuff takes a while to get to Europe, so I had 90 amp hour Winstons that were going to be my placeholders to get the customer out there. Oopsie day. Why are you not working for me, baby? Here we go. The boat needed to go to the original place where it was made to re-weld the motor struts for the spacing we had. So this is where the Ned Craft was born, and here she's backing up into the birth canal. And there's the guy who originally made her. Now, she is convex to concave, or concave the other way around. Anyways, a double curving aluminum hull. You need artisan level aluminum welding skills. You can't hide anywhere. There's no slags, you got to do it right at the first time, or you're buying a whole lot of new stuff. There's the beer guys again. So we're back at the shop, and we can finally put the motor in with the new motor mounts. You know, let's not look at that too closely. You guys probably, somebody would think that was not enough, but she's working fine. So we always have a use for lead acid at the shop. You know, they're good paperweights when you're working. Here's Ray doing all our fabrication. Let's give a big hand to Ray, because everything that I've ever done that works, and any, you know, basking in reflective glory should definitely be heaped upon Ray in large doses. Rear battery boxes, making sure they fit. We should have done this with every battery box, because it's always when you're a day late and you're going to give the boat to the customer, you know, the decking refurbishing. It turned out that my last battery box didn't quite want to hold the Winstons, so I had half an hour and something to figure out, and I MacGyvered that if I lined them up on a flight case I have with a nice little ridge, and I took the belt sander to them, they wouldn't fall off while I was doing it. I figured they're not getting that hot anyway, so I can take a little ridge off the side. That might not have been enough thinking of what the manufacturer meant them for, but you know, I had a half an hour, so. It's just a little bit of plastic flake. I didn't go too deep, but they fit snugly afterwards. I'd like to say, you can't see it in this resolution, but we definitely made sure that all the terminals were very shiny before they went in. Might have waited more than 20 minutes to hook them up, but it was less than half a day. So here's the stuff going in, kind of getting it all put together. There's a lot of custom-made work when you start with something that wasn't made electric. I'll talk a little later about that. We're now going to take these boats into production if anybody will pay me for it, and it'll be a lot easier that way. But it all fits nicely. This is, you know, so here, this is obviously a little later in the day, in the season, but now the switch to the CA series. We are starting to think about stuff like, you know, waterproofing things and finger safing things and stuff. So here's our, you know, the main plus and minus box with the fuses and the shunts and stuff like that. We do all our high voltage packs in 50 volt units. American Boat and Yacht Administration of Council, whatever they're called, they have regulation. High voltage on the water is not a new thing. I mean, very large cruise ships have all kinds of stuff going on. There's books on stuff, and I try not to invent anything. I don't have to, so I kind of follow that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of extra contactors. Cost me about $800 to $1,000 extra per build to be able to do it that way. but for going road legal later on in our business cycle, where they do regulate, contactors might actually do better, because Anderson connectors have been outlawed for car use in Europe, or at least Holland. So this is how she fits in nicely, and should be working fine, and off she goes. The boat performs really well. The customer is really happy, and everybody that gets in it thinks it's an amazing thing, best thing since sliced bread. I'm not sure if that's going to mean we're going to sell a few of it, but I dearly hope so. Yeah, it's going to be about $160,000, guys, so come talk to me. We won't have a cost of in there. We're working on the HPVS 35x2 system now, and I think she will do fine in a boat that was made by design to have about 100 kilowatts peak output. More than that, things start shaking and vibrating. She wasn't made really as a full planing boat. She's what we call a semi-displacer in Dutch anyway. She's very efficient at lower speeds. She's exciting up to about 40 kilometers an hour. After that, you're either breaking something or just not really doing any good. Here she is. This is the old VOC Amsterdam. They would take this out for a year and a half, go to Japan, China a couple of times, come back through the spice route, and come back with about 25 million euros worth modern currency of stuff. And that's our Naval History Museum. So I thought, old and new, maybe the new, excuse me? Absolutely. Well, you get a lot of regen off that prop if you got that much sail, I guess. Moet Shandong was taken out for a trip, and we're not quite to the sponsor contract yet, but they're definitely going to be using this boat for some media exposure. And my customer, Frans Heijn, Admiral Heijn, he calls himself, has no nautical background at all. Started boating around about 5 years ago, and he figured he'd skip all the ranks in between and just stay on Admiral. And as you see, I mean, this is the kind of boat, the guy wants to be alone with this boat for a while, and then just take his lady out, and then kick her out and be alone with the boat again. So that's our Nedcraft. Let's see what I had lined up for you guys here after Nedcraft. So now we're doing the Delta, which had come up here. I hate Windows 8 with a passion, but that's okay. We'll go to the Delta folder. Some of you have seen this picture because it's a rehash from last year. I found the Delta at a place called Classic Boats. Raymond found the boat at a place called Classic Boats Amsterdam. This was the cheapest boat they had at the time, plus it was the size I wanted, and we were looking for a speedster of the water project that Jack had kind of explained was going to be beneficial to my future if I would just stop complaining and doing what he said. The Riva that is right behind it is a 350,000 euro boat without any motor in it. I will gladly convert it for anybody that wants to buy it for me, and I'll give it to you after I'm done testing. Okay, I need to do Windows Viewer, and that way we'll see things better. So it came out of Classic Boats Amsterdam, took it to the shop, cleaned it up a bit, found out that it's the world's worst paint job. Plus, what's this with this bumper car stuff? I mean, the whole boat is curved anyway. There's one spot where you can touch the side, and the rest of that bumper car thing is just not doing you any favor. So it's all been ripped off. There's a new sharp line you can probably shave off of it if you really want to, and she'll be redone in paint, hopefully in about 3 weeks from now. But she has these curves, just like the Nedcraft. It's that classic runabout, sexy ass. Look at the back. Here I go. That was the last time I gassed her up. Yeah, we are at $9 a gallon, depending on where the euro dollar is right now. And boats, they're always going uphill. Wide open throttle, you're looking at 30, 40 liters an hour. So there's a little extra economic incentive. But like Jack said, boats really are about wanting one, not needing one. So, but he enjoyed it. We took it out. We've got some videos, and you've all probably seen it. It did 55 with the original 84 horsepower Lotus block. We're going to put the HPVS 35x2 in it, which had a wheel HP of 152 yesterday. We'll use it with the original prop first, and the original prop really can't put more power to water than it was set up to do. So we'll build it up to that 84, and then we've got a line of props and a business that we're working with that'll help us put a ridiculous double amount of horsepower to the water. current projections are I'll go anywhere between 90 kilometers and killing myself in no time flat. So we're around for that. What I want to share with you, if it'll come, oh no, it doesn't work that way. I'm in Windows 7 that I love. But I'm in my, oh no, PDFs. I can do PDFs. Here we go. We do need to develop something that we haven't had before if we're going to do direct drive to the prop. Where did I, PDF, here. There we go. So mine's cleverer than my own. We're explaining that our motors love to turn, and they're really good at that, and they'll put out a lot of power. Our motors do not like to push things with their shaft in a opposed force to the rotation of the shaft. There's no real pressure thrust bearings in there, at least not to the ratings that I'm going to be using it. We want to have a system that I can package our motors, and this is going to be set up for the B phase, so it can be any DC motor, any HP EVS motor. I want to be able to package them in a way that I can sell high-power electric drivetrains that can be used in a wide variety of boats in different shapes and sizes. Plus, I needed one of these because we're going to take these two boats into production, or so we're dreaming, and you need to have a good way to transfer that power in a direct drive style. What Senta Marine is a company, a lot of the world's mega yachts are built in Holland. We've built up a bit of a name in being good in that stuff, and so people with a lot of money like to spend it where the money's being spent well. And this company is basically the home supplier of large-scale marine power coupling transmissions for mega yachts, including Steve Jobs' Stark yacht. I found an in with them because a customer that bought 5 e-gear drives from us, who also does prototyping for AMG Mercedes and Audi, told me, well, you won't get through the website, but if you call this number and ask for Renee and tell him that I told you, then he'll talk to you. So they engineered this up for me, and it's going to be an expensive unit, and we're trying to get the series cost down. But basically, what it's made to do, it's rated to 6,000 RPMs, it's rated to 300 Newton meters of torque, and it's rated to up to 15 kilonewtons of thrust. So it means if I'm putting it in a larger diesel boat that has more displacement and has to push a lot more weight, I can use the same unit. If I'm putting it in a high RPM fast boat, it has the right kind of ratings, I can use it. The thing they came up with, and the reason it's more complex than I thought it needed to be, is that if I'm going to be selling it to a wide range of wharfs or even DIY kind of thing, it is just very important that you're able to line up to a prop shaft. And what a prop shaft likes to do is be very wiggly because it's going through the hull in a slightly flexible way. So it's very difficult, basically, and you need a very high level of skill and equipment to make sure that you're within the tolerances of your coupling. So what these guys came up with is what we call a Doppelselfenstellungsstuhlbegleicher. In Germany, that would all be one word. We chop it into a couple and put more in there, but yeah. So we'll kind of zoom. They're really cool. So basically what the system is made to do is you eyeball it on installation, and then the pressure plate actually has 4 adjustable rotoshock feet that after the eyeballing, so now you're hopefully within 5 degrees of tolerance in any direction, you can adjust them until you are hopefully measurably within 1 degree of tolerance of a deviation in any direction. And then this last coupler that you see in the center top can handle 1 degree of deviation between the pressure plate and the actual coupling to the motor. So having the 1, 2, 3 and a good explanation of how to do that will hopefully mean that even if I package this and sell it to people that I'm not going to be around to help them, actually that people that know about boats aren't around to help them, because I wouldn't be able to do this stuff myself anyways, they're not going to come crying back to me. Because even if I said them, well, it's all within a degree of tolerance, and it's all really, you better do it this way. If it breaks, they're going to come back to me anyway. So I better sell them something that has a good chance of either not breaking or, working perfectly. We're aiming at a 3,000 to 3,250 euro retail price on this system if I get them in series of 10 at the very minimum. So if we're looking at a 9,000 euro drivetrain application and we're adding about 3,500 euros of coupling, to me that feels like the reasonable proportions of money for function. So we would have the 12,500, 13,500 high power marine application that can go in a very wide range of boats. What was the next thing I had up for you? Oh yeah, so Amsterdam is basically paradise on earth, except we have really, really crappy weather. And after October, all the boats come in, and we don't really have anything to play with anymore. Let me see if I can get this mouse to wake up. Here we go. But, we leveraged me talking about stuff into a business on basis of being able to show cool stuff. We got to ride around in the stuff we're going to try and sell, and we got to show people that we can actually fix it. So it has been said earlier this week, but in the first week of October, we will be taking delivery of an 818 kit car, including Subaru running gear minus the motor. So we're really excited about that. We'll be able to show off the Delta until about end of October, and then hopefully while we're showing the build, October, November, by the end of November, we'll be able to take it out on the road, which is great because it's nice and slippery around that time, so a lot of donuts with minimal effort. The 818 is being promised with a soft top, which we'll need to keep out the continuous intermittent rain. And we will also be doing it with the HD EVS AC35x2 system, which is now sitting at the shop. It'll go in the Delta first. We don't manage to sell the Delta by November. It's a bolt-out, bolt-on kind of thing, so we can use it for 2 vehicles until we leverage it into some sales, hopefully. We will be working, and the reason that I'm getting it really quick, with humming performance. I've got a little internet here so I can bring them up, probably. Are we humming? Oh, geez, I've never been there with this computer. For 4 months. Don't know, probably. No, I'm not connected to the internet. Connect. There we go. Let's try that again. Downloading proxy script. Oh well. Maybe they're comp. Let me try that. And otherwise, I'll just tell you about them. No, they're good. There we go. Let's do English for you guys. Humming Performance is basically it's the son of a family that is really big, all different kinds of car businesses. And he went to the States after studying and spent internship with, I think it's called Hennessy Performance. Yeah, Hennessy Performance Engineering. Did a long stint with them, and at the same time buddied up to Factory 5 Racing. They've had a lot of success selling 33 Roadsters, selling MK4 Cobras, selling the Shelby, the Ford Type 65, I believe, and Factory 5's own supercar, the GTM. In Europe, they're doing about 50-50 on the Factory 5, either shipping them out in crates with parts to people that are going to do father-son or son-father builds, or actually selling them completely done, completely road legal, here you go, have fun. So they kind of run the build school in Europe. And that's going to be great for us because we're going to really focus on the electrics and trying to get the kit down. But to get stuff road legal, you need to know what you're doing in building stuff to spec. And he's very excited about what we're doing. I mean, he made me buy one, he's not giving me one. But he's my perfect outlet for the complete kit because he's already getting questions on, can we do the 818 electric? And the other perfect outlet being EVTV EU. So there's a business incentive to getting this all done well, and there's a passion incentive because we finally want to take this fun on the road. You all have been having a good time with that, and we want some of that ourselves. So that's going to be the 818. We've seen pictures in Eric Chris's presentation, so I'm not going to do too much of that. One thing I will say is that the Corvette of HPVS yesterday was clocked at 152 wheel HP and weighs 3,000 pounds and did a, I believe, 10.8, 10.7 on the 8th mile. John Metrick of Nedra fame did some off-the-cuff calculations for me saying that if I weigh 1,800 pounds in my 818 with the same drivetrain, probably the same or less losses through the WRX transmission, I'm likely to take off 1.2 seconds and without too much heavy breathing have a 9.6 second 818. So that's going to be our bar, and we're going to try and at least meet that and try and get the head over if we can. So that's kind of where we've been since the whirlwind ride of 11 months since EVCON last. And the other big thing that happened is that the new electric shirt turned into the slightly thicker, better quality fabric EVTV shirt. We were lucky enough to convince Jack. I've been on him since like that thing from Alien stuck to the face for like 4 years. And somewhere Christmas last, he gave in, or decided it was his idea, that I could buy a certain dollar amount of parts and see if I could flog them off, and if that would work, he would let me continue to do so. In the whirlwind 6 months since then, we have bought over $150,000 worth of EVTV components and actually flogged off most of them in the EU. So, I need a little applause for that one, I can tell you. We're paying the rent, people. That's new stuff for me. Because my wife, the biggest smile my wife got out of the 4 years I've been doing this, you saw it. That was that 3 seconds in the boat. For the rest, it's been painful, I can tell you. It's been real painful. I'm not going to talk too much about the business sense, but what it's really about is the Army. Jack talks about his 100,000-man Army. And I asked some of my first customers that I've been in contact with since they got their stuff if they had anything they would like to share with Jack or me or EVCON attendees from Europe. Because this year, and just before we do that, I've noticed this year that there's 3 guys from Amsterdam. There's a wonderful 3-guy team here from Portugal. There's John Hardy. And for some reason, are we in a recession or something? Because we're not seeing a lot of Europeans this year. But thanks to the people from Portugal and John Hardy for being here and representing. Is there anybody else from Europe that I'm not giving you the props? Nah, I figured. No, we're not here this year. But there are projects going on. I swear to God, and I'll show you one right now. Did I down? No, I gotta go to the YouTube. Or did I have it in the folder? I'm sorry. Here we go. EVCON 2013. Shannon. Oh, do we have audio?
Hello, EVCON. My name's Shannon. Hello, EVCON. My name's Shannon. I'm
I
a
took one
Java
from your book,
programmer,
Jack. I gave him the shirt.
living in Finland by way of England and Australia. Anne New Electric mentioned it would be nice to have an example of some of the projects that are going on in Europe. So I'll give you a quick tour of what I'm doing. The car is a BMW E36. I was inspired by Matt Horber and Damien Maguire. So I've got the motor out, as you can see, and I've been cleaning the engine bay in preparation for some of these components over here. I'm using a Kostov DC motor
That he bought somewhere else.
It's got interpoles and electric fan at the back. Down here I've got the Solton 1, the EVCON TCH charger, and down there is a RM4 heater, which Jack says isn't very safe to use, so I guess I'll be using something else. And this is my bottom balancing setup. I'm halfway through balancing the cells I got from Anne. It's been great dealing with Anne. He's been very patient with me, even though I've been changing my order. Here in Finland, I think it'll be a bit of a challenge to keep the batteries warm in winter. So my plan is to insulate the battery box as well and keep them warm with an electric element during charging. Anyway, that's where I'm at the moment, and there's more details on my blog if you're interested. Thanks to Jack and Brian and everyone at EVTV, and have a great time at EVCON. Bye from Finland.
So that's Shannon Merritt, an Australian that by way of UK is now living in cold, cold Finland. It's shansev.blogspot.com, I believe, is where his blog. He'd sent me an update before. It was about 4 minutes. It was 2 minutes longer. The 2 minutes that are longer are him profusely apologizing for being such a difficult customer. And then he goes to explain how difficult he was, namely ordering 40 cells, calling me 3 days later, and asking if he could actually have 50. I'm like, okay. So now we update his invoice and this and that, and 3 days later I get a call, well, maybe I want 60. I'm like, Shannon, you're a tough customer to keep happy, but okay. I will sell you 60 cells. Don't tell anyone else. So I swear, I had the first update. He didn't want me to use it because he felt he was stuttering a little bit or something, but he spent 2 minutes apologizing for buying more stuff. God love him. Shannon, you're my hero. You'll see this video, and you're doing a great job. Launching customer again. He was the first guy to buy stuff from us. It's a over 10,000 euro purchase. Sending it to a little guy in Amsterdam that talks a lot, and stuff showed up. But somebody has to make that jump. Somebody has to feel you're going to do it. He did it. He got the T-shirt. He's wearing it, and he's converting. Another example out of the many that we have, but that I want to share with you. Our very first HP EVS AC75 system got sold very shortly after Jack got access to these new motors. It got sold to a guy, James Curtis, of Web Design Solutions, LLC. I know the company because he's using that company to get the 0% VAT rate. I don't know what Web Design Solutions does with the car. Probably shuttle people around. James Curtis built and he's, once again, he's profusely apologizing for not having a more expensive car to put stuff into, which, James, not a problem, man. You built what you needed to have. He needed to be able to move 6 people. He needed to be able to have the car go up steep grades. He didn't need it to go very far because the Isle of Man is not that large. He doesn't go that far at all, but he wants to go where he's going pretty fast, and he wants to go uphill with 6 people. He has it all installed. This car is road legal now. I have the engineering report that I'll share a little bit of it with you guys, and I'll definitely make it available to anybody. I went through it, and they're doing about a quarter to a fifth of what they're making us do in Amsterdam, which is why he got it road legal so quickly. But the Isle of Man is a good place to start with an EV conversion or business, because you'll actually get it road legal in good shape. And I just want to share what he wrote us in a few different emails. You don't need to read it, but I'll read it up to you. Am I word wrapping this? Here we go. So, thanks for all your help on this build. My car is now finished. It runs brilliantly. It has been certified by an engineer, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. The HP EVS system is just beautiful. So smooth. I love it. Please pass on my thanks to Jack and the team for all their enthusiasm, inspiration, and practical advice. It has been much appreciated. I guess you may be interested in my road testing results, as I believe I must be one of your first people to use the AC75 on the road, and I'm sure to be the first to have it up and running in a 2,000-kilo, 8-seater vehicle. So James, you did really well, and please stop apologizing for your car. I think it's great. My build is a little different to the beautiful, shiny, oh yeah, here comes the apologies. And he built it with a tight budget, classic style. He lives on the Isle of Man, 30 miles long by 12 miles wide. It means that all of the range issues for electric cars are simply not an issue. He needed a car with 6 seats, reasonable performance on hilly terrain, 40 miles range, and cheaply as possible. So he took a 1996 Toyota Previa that he had. The first time I drove it, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It isn't very fast, as you would talk about, with a sporty conversion, but it accelerates convincingly, and it will happily do 90 miles per hour, this guy does do miles, on the level. More impressively, it will maintain 70 miles up even quite substantial hills that would have reduced my gee-whiz to 25 miles per hour. I can confess to a road-tested top speed of well over 100 down a gentle incline, as we have no national speed limit here. The other reason that you really want to be in the Isle of Man. Thank you to, see, he keeps thanking us, for the whole EVTV team, without whom this would have not have been, or this would have been a much more nerve-wracking and risking venture for an amateur builder like me. I wrote to him back on all the stuff he said. I said, James, these emails are why I want to be in this business. So thank you, James. And they're making me really excited about working with the HDVS stuff, I can tell you that. So what did I have lined up for you guys? We keep calling it EVTV EU, but there's a reason that it's wh.newelectric.nl, and it's not because I'm trying to hide it and make it my own company, that kind of thing. It's Jack's company. We're doing some distribution stuff. We'd love to add on more franchisees. I'll route it all through Rotterdam because that's the way we keep the price down, the volume's up, and I won't be jealous of other people selling more if it just goes through my balance sheet. But, you know, we'll do what Jack says. And we are now, oh, that's what I was going to say. I've just heard back from the guys that own evtv.eu as a website domain. There's some final niggly-nagglies on which price, but we're going to get there. And I hope to, by the second or third EVTV show after this EVCON, I'll be able to proudly announce that we are now EVTV EU as a domain name can be found, and we'll be updating the quality of our web store. So that's for your European customers. You'll be able to find us a lot better that way. I'm going to kind of wrap it up. We do have some plans, so you'll know we're doing the Delta, we're doing the 818, but doing stuff is great to show the nerds, but then you got to take it out and do stuff to convince the world that what you're doing is worth doing. The English Channel is 21 kilometers across. If I can make the Delta go 90 kilometers an hour, I should have a decent chance at taking it across the English Channel in under 15 minutes, which would be a record for a lot of different kind of propulsion types, but especially a very small electric boat. It's not as crazy as it sounds. Every 4 or 5 days or so, if you wait long enough, at 5 o'clock this morning, there's a moment when it's complete glass. It's like an interior lake with like windbreakers and everything. You can get across that in a right fashion. I've got contacts with the offshore rib people that do up to 120 kph, and 2 of them have signed up to doing chase cam and or rescue services for me. And I have family in France that are talking to different helicopter operators if they would please not bill me for a whole week, but just the one morning I need them, if they could be on call for a whole week. So we'll see how that works out. But we want to take a 1966 English-built by RAF factory builders speedster runabout aluminum with Chinese batteries and an American motor and a Dutch-American guy that talks a lot, and bring it back home. And if we do it fast enough or crash hard enough, I'm sure people will pay attention to what we're doing. So let's see if that works out, right? And yes, I will change, test speed and range on inland waters before, I hope. So our very first target is the 3rd of September. I hope to actually have the boat in the water because the Ned Craft will be gate crashing our Amsterdam boat show, which will be opened by our new king. And nothing would please me more than right after he draws the attention on the beautiful shiny boat, I come shooting out behind it at 90 kph and at least wag my tail at the king a little bit. So that's it for New Electric and EVTV EU right now. Thanks a lot, and we're having a lot of fun. I'll keep building, you keep building, and Jack will keep talking to us. So thanks, guys.
Don't run off, Anna. Stay with me here, buddy. Am I alive or am I Memorex?